you ever followed someone because you thought they had the answers to life's biggest questions? A spiritual teacher, a guru, a self-help author, a philosopher. Maybe you sat in a lecture, listened to a podcast, or read a book and thought, yes, finally, this person gets it. And maybe for a while it gave you clarity, direction, hope. But Krishnamurti said something that shook this whole idea to its core. He said, "Truth is a pathless land." And with that one sentence, he challenged the entire structure of spiritual authority. You see, Jiddu Krishnamurti was offered the role of a world teacher. He was groomed to be the leader of a global spiritual movement. But in 1929, in front of thousands of devoted followers, he did something unthinkable. He dissolved the organization, he gave up the title, and he told the crowd, "I do not want followers." Why? Because to follow someone, even someone wise, is to stop thinking for yourself. To follow is to surrender your inner responsibility to question, to observe, and to understand directly. And truth, according to Krishnamurti, can only be discovered in freedom. Not from discipline, not from repetition, not from imitating someone else's journey. Imagine trying to taste the sweetness of an orange by reading about it. You could read 10 books on oranges. You could listen to experts talk about its flavor. But unless you bite into it yourself, you'll never know what it tastes like. That's how Krishnamurti saw truth. You can't borrow it. You can't be led to it. You have to encounter it for yourself, raw and unfiltered. And here's the part that's really uncomfortable for most of us. Krishnamurti said that the moment you accept someone as your teacher, you stop being free, even if their intentions are good, even if their message is powerful, because in that moment, you place them on a pedestal, and you place yourself below. Now, this doesn't mean you reject learning. It doesn't mean you ignore wisdom, but it means that you never blindly accept. You listen, you observe, and you question everything, even the words of someone like Krishnamurti. That's what he wanted. Not followers, not disciples, but individuals who are alert, aware, and capable of walking alone. He once said, "You have to be a light to yourself, not to depend on someone else to light the way, not to wait for someone to hand you the truth, because truth isn't something that can be handed to you. It's not a fixed idea. It's not a set of beliefs. It's a living thing, something you discover moment by moment, in how you observe your thoughts, your relationships, your fears, and your desires." But let's be honest, it's tempting to want someone to show us the way. Life is confusing, painful, uncertain. We want structure, we want guidance, we want someone to tell us what's right and wrong, what's real and what's illusion. And that's exactly why Krishnamurti's message feels so radical, because he says, no one can do that for you. Not the Buddha, not Jesus, not him, not anyone. He's not attacking religion or spiritual traditions. He's not saying teachers are useless. He's saying, don't turn them into crutches. Use their words as a mirror, not a map. Let them challenge you, not lead you. That's what makes this path harder. There are no shortcuts, no formulas, no 10 steps to enlightenment. There is only you, your mind, and your willingness to observe without judgment. And in that observation, something amazing happens. You start to see the world and yourself clearly, not through the filter of belief, not through the lens of someone else's opinion, but directly, with fresh eyes. Krishnamurti called this choiceless awareness. It means watching your thoughts without trying to change them, without labeling them good or bad, without comparing them to an ideal, just watching. And in that watching, a certain silence arises, not the silence of discipline, but the silence of deep understanding. It's in that silence, he said, that truth may reveal itself, but you can't chase it, you can't force it, and no teacher can give it to you. Now, maybe you're wondering, if no one can lead us to truth, does that mean we're completely alone? Krishnamurti would say, yes and no. Yes, because no one can walk your inner journey for you. But no, because the moment you begin to observe yourself honestly, you realize something profound. We're all caught in the same patterns, the same fears, the same mental habits. You're not alone in that. We've all been conditioned by culture, by family, by religion, by school. We've been told what to believe, how to behave, even what to feel. And we carry that conditioning like a shadow, thinking it's who we are. But Krishnamurti's invitation was this. Can you look at your conditioning without trying to fix it? Just observe it, not judge it, not run from it. Just see it for what it is. For example, let's say you get angry easily. The usual response might be, I shouldn't be angry. I need to control it. But Krishnamurti would ask, what happens if you just watch that anger? Not suppress it, not justify it. Just observe how it rises, how it moves in your body, how it changes your thoughts. When you observe without judgment, something shifts. You're no longer trapped in reaction. You're simply aware. And that awareness, not effort, begins to dissolve the pattern. This is not a method. It's not a technique. In fact, Krishnamurti warned against methods, because the moment you adopt a method, you're again following a path, someone else's path, and the mind starts repeating instead of seeing freshly. He said, the moment you follow someone, you cease to follow truth. Because truth, in his view, isn't static. It's alive. It moves. It's not something to memorize. It's something to meet directly in the present moment. That's why Krishnamurti didn't give answers. He asked questions. Questions like, why are we afraid? What is love really? Can the mind ever be truly quiet? And instead of answering for you, he invited you to look into it yourself. At first, this might feel frustrating. We're used to teachers who explain, who tell us what to do. But Krishnamurti's genius was that he trusted your capacity to see, not in the future, not after years of practice, but right now, if you're really paying attention. He once said, the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. Think about that for a second. We're constantly judging everything, good, bad, right, wrong. But true observation means putting all of that aside, even for a moment, and just seeing what is. That's where clarity begins. And clarity, in Krishnamurti's world, is the beginning of real freedom. Not freedom to do whatever you want, but freedom from fear, from illusions, from the past. And in that freedom, truth doesn't need to be found. It reveals itself, not as a belief, not as a concept, but as a direct experience that can't be put into words. So when you hear someone claim they've found the truth, be careful. The moment truth becomes a claim, it becomes static, dead. It becomes someone's version, someone's belief. But real truth, according to Krishnamurti, is always fresh, always new. It doesn't belong to anyone. And no one, no matter how enlightened, can give it to you. They can point, they can question. But the seeing, that's yours alone. In the end, maybe that's what makes Krishnamurti so unique. He wasn't trying to lead you. He was trying to wake you up, to show you that the capacity to understand, to see clearly, to live fully, was always in you. And it still is. So what do we do with all of this? If no one can lead us to truth, if no method is the answer, if even the wisest teacher can't walk the path for us, then what's left? You. Just you. And your awareness. Your ability to look deeply, without fear, without expectation. And maybe that's both terrifying and liberating. Because for the first time, you're not depending on tradition, authority, or belief. You're depending on your own direct experience of life. What you see, what you feel, what you understand. Not because someone told you, but because you've looked for yourself. That's where real transformation begins. Not from discipline, not from imitation, but from seeing clearly. The world we live in is full of noise, opinions, formulas, spiritual influencers. Everyone wants to teach, to guide, to lead, and it's tempting to follow. It feels safe. It gives us something to hold on to. But Krishnamurti's invitation is different. He's not saying don't listen. He's saying, don't surrender your freedom to think. Don't trade your inner clarity for someone else's certainty. Truth isn't comfortable. It's not something you can package into a quote or a belief system. It requires you to look at yourself, really look, without turning away. And the moment you do, you begin to understand things directly, not just intellectually, but deeply. You see how fear works, how the ego creates conflict, how comparison breeds misery. And in that seeing, something starts to shift. You don't need someone to tell you what truth is. You become your own mirror, your own observer, your own light. Krishnamurti once said, "When you are a light to yourself, you are a light to the world." That's not arrogance, that's clarity. It means that when you begin to live with awareness, honesty, and sensitivity, you naturally affect the people around you, not by teaching them, but by being fully alive. So maybe the question isn't, who can show me the truth? Maybe the question is, am I willing to see it? That's where it starts, and only you can answer it. Thanks for watching. If this message spoke to something inside you, take a moment today, not to seek, not to analyze, but just to observe. Your thoughts, your reactions, your relationships, without judgment, without trying to change them. Just watch. That simple act of awareness might be the beginning of everything.